Hi there, my name is Ahmad Asyraf bin Asri, merchant number 192184. I'm a student from the Faculty of Economics and Management, UPM. And for my LPE class, I'm required to analyze an article from a list of 5 articles and do a vlog about it. From the 5 articles, I chose article number 2, titled America-China Trade War, written by Professor Wintony. So, a little bit of a background about the author. Professor Wintony is a professor of Operations and Service Management at IMD. IMD stands for International Institute for Management Development, and it is a business school in Switzerland. Professor Wintony is a regional director of IMD Southeast Asia and Oceania. She holds a PhD from the University of Utah, and she has published many books, cases and articles, many of which, or some of which, are about China and Chinese companies. So about the article, firstly the argument that was presented by the author in the article is that America would lose were it to engage in a trade war with China. The two evidences that the author gave was, as stated and can be seen from the article. Firstly, the author states that Walmart, which is a gigantic American company, purchases many goods from China at a cheap price, and when America is in a trade war with China, they won't be able to obtain those goods from China anymore, and they have to import those goods from elsewhere at a price that is not as low as the prices at which they buy goods from China. The next evidence is that the author states, in the second paragraph, the author states that, well, there are checks and balances in the American political system, but the president, Donald Trump, is kind of reactive and unstable. So we think that America should not and would probably not engage in a trade war with China, but with a president like that, we can never be sure. So those are the evidences that the author gave. Next, my beliefs. Firstly, I believe that, based on the article, I believe that firstly, America will indeed engage in a trade war with China, and the article was written in early 2019. Throughout the year, the country has indeed engaged in a trade war with China. My second belief is that if the US were to engage in a trade war with China, it would lose. The values. Firstly, I believe firstly, a leader of a country should have a proper stewardship of the country. Any policies made should be planned properly so that it is beneficial and won't be a disadvantage won't put a disadvantage to the citizens of the country. Secondly, the second values is economic stability in a country, and if possible economic growth, so that the citizens of the country can live a prosperous life. And the third value is the citizens of a country should be well informed, and basically about a candidate, a presidential candidate that they are going to elect into the presidential office, so that the country would be managed, would be led well. So those are the values. The status, socio-economic status. When the US engages in a trade war with China, it will affect the country's production. And since the US is, well, a major economy in the world, when the US production is affected, it will also affect the global production, and it will also affect Malaysia's production. The trade war that has been going on this year has reduced the global output or production by 0.4%, which in turn reduces Malaysia's GDP, gross domestic product, by 0.7%, which might not sound like a lot, but it actually is, since Malaysia's GDP in 2018 has been measured at 345 billion ringgit. So a reduction of 0.7% in the Malaysian GDP is a lot. So my stance, I agree with the author that the US would basically lose if it were to engage in a trade war with China, based on, among others, two reasons. Firstly, the trade war has affected the US more than it has China. The US's real import has decreased by 4.5% as a result of the trade war, while China's real exports have decreased by a lower percentage of 3.2%. And secondly, China is a major market for US products. As an example, the amount of Chinese consumers that purchased the new iPhone is higher than the amount of American consumers who purchase the iPhone. So China is a major market for US products, while China can sell its products, which are mostly specifically technological products, to other markets such as India and also Latin America, among others. So the US needs China more than China needs the US. As a conclusion, a trade war is bad for any country, and although the US would be affected more, China would be affected too. So basically both countries would suffer huge losses were they to engage in a trade war with each other. So that's all. Thank you.